Hi everyone and welcome to Valley View Living. My name is Megan. I live out in the country in New South Wales, Australia on a small farm. I have 6 children who are homeschooled and we are homesteading, learning as we go. Here on my channel I share a lot of homemaking content and some farming, homesteading content as well. It is cold and wintry here today. We reached about 1 degree Celsius last night, so everybody went to sleep in their winter woolies and took an extra blanket with them. I was inspired to make this dish today by Jo over at Strong Mind Soft Heart. She's another Aussie mum vlogger that I enjoy watching. And in her recent Meals of the Week video for her family of 8, she shared a taco soup recipe. It seems like something I should be doing on rotation, but I've honestly never cooked this before. So I'm trying out this taco soup here today with our own home-raised pork mince. That's actually the only kind of meat I have in the house at the moment as we wait to go and pick up this steer tomorrow. So we're picking up around 170 kilograms of our own raised beef tomorrow, but for now my freezers are pretty devoid of all types of meat. But I figured this pork mince would work pretty well. So I've just diced up a red onion that I had lurking in the fridge, and we're going to fry that off for a little bit. Before I go ahead and add in some of this Mingle taco seasoning mix that we had purchased for a different recipe, I'm also going to add in just a teaspoon of garlic, because I figure you can just never go wrong with garlic really when you're cooking a soup. I love garlic, so. After that, I'm just going to add in some tinned corn, some black beans, some pureed tinned tomatoes. Now you don't need to puree those, of course, that's just the preference of my kiddos. And I'm just going to top that off with some chicken broth that I had simmering away on the stove yesterday and I bottled yesterday afternoon. So this is so super simple, perfect for busy days. I just stir this all up and let it simmer on the stovetop. Half of my family are out at our homeschool social group today, so it is strangely quiet at home. We have the heater going, we have the fire burning, the kitchen is cozy and warm and bright, and it really is my favorite place to be when it's like this outside. So I'm just hanging out with my youngest daughters today, and one of my teen daughters who decided to stay home from the homeschool group today as well. And she's decided to catch up with her schoolwork and just do some personal projects and help me with some cooking today. So I'm just going to put this on to simmer, and then there's a job that I've been putting off, and that is planting our garlic for the next season. So garlic needs to go in on the shortest day and then you can harvest it out on the longest day. And we are definitely close to that window where I need to get this garlic planted or we will miss the season. So I'm going to gather my little people together and we'll head out to the veggie patch and we will get this garlic planted together. Can I show you first? Can I show you what to do first? So these are our seeds. Each one of these seeds grows into a whole garden. Can I have yours, Roger? Yes, you can plant some too. You have to work hard. It's actually not what you do garlic time. Make a hole. Then pop in the garlic with the green bit. cover it over. So the taco soup was absolutely delicious, especially after spending some time outside on a winter's day, getting that planting done in the garden, coming into an already made hot soup. I topped mine with diced jalapenos, sour cream, a little bit of shredded cheese, and I crunched up some corn chips just to sprinkle over the top. And it was so filling and so hearty. In fact, I did not cook dinner on this night. We just kept that pot on the stove, and later on for our evening meal I heated that up again, and everybody in the family, every child, was happy to have seconds of that. So that will have to be a regular meal on our rotation. So we decided on this cold winter's afternoon, in that short time after lunch and before the sun would set, and we would have to get on with our evening farm chores and dinner and bed, that we would have some hot scones with some jam and some cream and just watch a movie together, or maybe catch up on MasterChef. We're a couple of seasons behind, and I love watching that with my kids when I can get a chance. So I just used the original CWA recipe. That's the Country Women's Association, for any of my viewers who aren't familiar. Now, I remember reading in an old vintage CWA cookbook that a scone recipe should be simple enough that an Australian farm woman should be able to look out the window, see the dust kicked up at the end of the driveway at the start of her farm, and know that visitors are coming, and knock together this recipe quickly enough so that they're hot in the oven or even cooked by the time the visitor's knocking at the back door. And I just love that idea. As far as I go, I'm not that quick, not that adept a baker, but I love the idea of that. Speaking of cold, I feel like our old farmhouse is holding up pretty well against the cold weather. It was probably built with cold in mind, of course. We do live somewhere that is in the temperate zone, so we don't have particularly warm weather year-round. But it held up quite well. When we first moved in, we used some of our small renovating budget to install air conditioners straight up so that we would have some heating there. We did spend some time living in Tasmania, quite a few years previously, and I just felt like I couldn't handle the very cold weather in daily life inside the house anymore if I could avoid it. And we've also had some time living in a more off-grid style, relying wholly on the wood fire for heating, and that was actually also heating our water as well as our home. And it's not something that we would choose to do again. Even then, when we did that, we were quite young. I think we were in our late 20s or early 30s. So we were young and supposedly strong. But the workload of managing your own firewood year-round was large. It was a large responsibility. And I remember one winter when my husband was very sick. He had a flu, a severe flu, real influenza that knocked him out for 6 weeks. And I had a newborn at the time and a toddler, and we didn't have anyone around to step in and help, as is the case in so many families now. And I was reliant on this firewood that I could not cut myself. Even if I had the skills, there was no way to keep my younger children entirely safe. I mean, my husband was really sick while I would be doing that task. And honestly, physically, postpartum, I just was not up to it anyway. So those are the realities of off-grid living. It is hard physical work, and that also becomes hard emotional work because of the stress. If, like me, you are prone from time to time to being a stress head and worrying about control around these things, which I put my hand up and say, yes, that's a character trait I have to work on. So all that to say that it is nice to have the luxuries if you can. These scones turned out beautifully. We were very happy to have them, just because it is months between scones, if not like many months. So we don't have them often at all, and just the treat of jam and cream on a scone is one to enjoy. Thanks for joining me today as I go about my homesteading and my homemaking tasks. I always enjoy having your company here. If you've enjoyed my content, please feel free to like or comment or subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!